Nike's decision to release Paige Bueckers' merchandise amidst Caitlin Clark's rising stardom was a move that seemed perfectly calculated on paper, but quickly spiraled into what many would call a public relations fiasco. For a company with its finger usually on the pulse of sports culture, the timing and execution of this rollout left fans scratching their heads. It was a misstep that became a lesson in how to misjudge the mood of a fan base, and it had some serious ripple effects for Nike's carefully cultivated image. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. To understand how this happened, you need to start with the players involved. Paige Bueckers, a college basketball sensation, has been a name synonymous with success, grace, and a level of skill that has drawn comparisons to basketball legends. Her fan base is massive, loyal, and vocal. On the other hand, Caitlin Clark has been the spark of excitement that basketball didn't know it needed. Clark's electric playing style, sharp shooting ability, and undeniable swagger have turned her into a must-watch athlete. In many ways, she's become the new face of college basketball, commanding attention with every three-pointer she launches from what seems like another zip code. Nike, sensing an opportunity, decided to lean heavily into Bueckers' established popularity. The company dropped a merchandise line featuring her name and likeness, banking on the assumption that her established appeal would guarantee success. What they didn't anticipate was how strongly fans would react to the apparent snub of Caitlin Clark, who was experiencing a meteoric rise that overshadowed nearly everything else in the sport. It was like throwing a party for one star quarterback, while the other was in the middle of a Super Bowl run. Fans didn't just notice. They felt slighted on behalf of Clark. The fallout was swift. Social media lit up with posts expressing frustration, bewilderment, and even anger at Nike's decision. Some fans were more measured in their critiques, arguing that the timing felt off. Others were less forgiving, accusing Nike of being tone-deaf to the current basketball landscape. The divide between the two fan bases became stark, and what should have been a celebration of an athlete turned into a debate about fairness, timing, and priorities. Nike's gamble was rooted in Paige Bueckers' marketability. Few athletes her age have been able to build such a strong personal brand. Bueckers is seen as polished, articulate, and undeniably talented. Her appeal crosses demographics, making her a natural fit for a brand like Nike. Yet, even with all those qualities, the timing of this merchandise drop couldn't have been worse. Clark was in the middle of rewriting what it meant to be a dominant player in women's college basketball, and her narrative was one of grit, tenacity, and underdog triumph. Fans wanted to see her acknowledged for that. For Caitlin Clark, the situation was ironic. She didn't ask for the drama, but her very presence on the court created it. Clark plays with a level of confidence that borders on defiant. She's the kind of athlete who will hit a dagger three-pointer, glance at her defender with a sly grin, and jog back on defense like she's done it 1,000 times. Her style is magnetic, drawing in fans who might not have cared much about women's basketball before she stepped onto the court. She's the player who makes casual observers sit up and say, "Who is that?" And the answer keeps them hooked. Nike's choice to prioritize Bueckers' merch seemed like an attempt to play it safe. Bueckers, after all, had already proven herself as a marketable star. She had been sidelined by injuries but was still seen as a cornerstone of women's basketball. Clark, by contrast, was still in the process of solidifying her stardom. But that's where Nike misread the room. Clark wasn't just solidifying anything. She was redefining it. She was making buzzer beaters feel routine, sparking viral highlights with every no-look pass, and carrying her team to unimaginable heights. What made the situation even more awkward was the way fans viewed the two athletes. This wasn't a case of one being better than the other. It was a matter of timing and recognition. Bueckers deserved her accolades, but Clark was having her moment. Fans wanted to see that moment celebrated, not overshadowed by a release that felt like it belonged in a different season. The timing was so off that it felt almost comedic, like someone throwing a surprise birthday party for the wrong sibling. Behind the scenes, Nike likely had its reasons for pushing forward with the Bueckers merch. These campaigns are planned months in advance, with logistics that don't allow for last-minute changes. But for fans, none of that mattered. What they saw was a brand that appeared out of touch with the current narrative in women's basketball. And in an era where fans feel more connected to athletes than ever before, that kind of misstep doesn't go unnoticed. The implications of this mistake are worth considering. Nike has long been a leader in the sports apparel industry, setting trends and shaping narratives. But this incident showed how even the biggest brands can stumble when they lose sight of the emotional connection fans have with their favorite athletes. It's not just about selling jerseys or t-shirts. It's about understanding the stories that resonate with people. And in this case, the story everyone wanted to celebrate was Caitlin Clark's. There's also the question of what this means for the relationship between Nike and its athletes. Both Bueckers and Clark are likely to have long and successful careers, and they're exactly the kind of talent Nike wants to align with. But this kind of public backlash can strain even the best relationships. Fans are protective of their favorites, and they'll remember moments like this. The company will need to tread carefully in how it handles future campaigns involving these two stars. From a broader perspective, this incident highlights how quickly narratives can shift in sports. Just a year ago, Paige Bueckers was unquestionably the face of women's college basketball. Injuries sidelined her, but her star power remained intact. Then Caitlin Clark exploded onto the scene, capturing the imagination of basketball fans in a way that few athletes do. The speed of that rise caught everyone off guard, including Nike. It's a reminder that in sports, timing is everything. As the dust settled on Nike's misstep, one thing became clear. The fan base's voice is more influential than ever in shaping the narrative around athletes and brands. While Nike has made a name for itself as a master of marketing, this event served as a stark reminder that timing and context are critical. Paige Bueckers' merchandise line wasn't inherently a bad idea. It was simply a decision that clashed with the prevailing sentiment of the moment. Fans weren't against Bueckers. They were for Caitlin Clark, and that made all the difference. This situation also underlined the competitive nature of modern sports fandom. Fans often pick sides, not out of animosity but out of a deep-seated desire to see their chosen athlete recognized and celebrated. It's a dynamic that brands like Nike must navigate carefully, as any perceived favoritism can spark controversy. Moving forward, Nike and other brands will likely adjust their approach, paying closer attention to the ebb and flow of public opinion. While this stumble might have cost some goodwill, it also presented a valuable lesson. In the fast-paced world of sports, the moment belongs to those who can capture it. For Caitlin Clark and her fans, this was her moment. For now, the situation remains a cautionary tale for brands looking to capitalize on the popularity of athletes. Nike's misstep wasn't a reflection on Bueckers or Clark, but rather on the company's ability to read the room. Fans aren't just passive consumers, they're active participants in the culture of sports. They notice when something feels off, and they're not afraid to call it out. Nike will undoubtedly recover from this stumble. The company's track record speaks for itself, and its ability to adapt is one of the reasons it's been so successful. But this incident serves as a reminder that even the best can make mistakes, and when they do, the court of public opinion can be unforgiving. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.